my opinion, the overall problem is there were a lot of details that were not detailed properly. There were a lot of elements that were left out. Nobody should leave a pipe hanging in the ceiling that is no longer used, or conduits and pipes that are just dangling. They need to be removed, the holes properly patched and sealed up, especially when you have as much work going on in a house as this, where you would anticipate that the old issues would have been taken out to be properly sealed up and replaced.
Let's talk a little bit about the toilet and the drains going, high in the middle or low in the middle and stuff.
The issue of having toilets that don't drain into a sewer system, into your septic tank, because the pipes are sloping the wrong way, is absolutely amazing to me that anybody would allow that to happen. We wanted to make sure that that was all corrected, and of course now it is, and water's flowing correctly. And that kind of tells me a lot about what was going on here on this house when I find those type of conditions. Amazing to me.
What's going on here?
Okay, we removed a pipe that came out of this hole right here that went across into the wall and went down and ended on top of the header of this door. Rainwater that came in the pipe would run through the pipe, go into the wall and down and drip on the header. So we tore all that out, and now you can see this has all been cleaned up and patched up. Over here you can see our new water heater that's been properly vented out the top, and we're just touching up some paint throughout the house and putting the base of the water heater. So we're replacing all of the gutters with a real gutter, because when it was raining, the rain was actually not even going into the gutter because of the gap that you can see here, where water was actually cascading down the wood, completely bypassing the rain gutter system. What we're going to do is we're going to replace this with a nice copper gutter system that you use typically at the ocean environment. Okay, Mike, I want this cheap plastic rain gutter taken off this house because we're on the ocean. I want a really nice solid copper rain gutter to replace this with.
Got it? Okay.
Now originally they had the rain gutter down. I guess that would be alright.
And this way we can make every piece one piece and then just cut the miters on the job. So
Right.
it only seems to be a miter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to have any joints. Okay, yeah. How much is it called? Thank you for filter. I don't see a filter. Do you see a filter? You mean they didn't put a filter? Are you kidding me? They didn't put a filter on there? Well, no wonder there's dust all over this house. So now you can see where we put a filter in. And to change this filter, it just simply lifts out. And we put this metal in here that holds it in place with a seal on it. It just simply goes up and into place. And there we are. We have pipes that are full of crud because the water pipes were not draining in the proper direction. They were all sloping uphill, and because of that the pipes were filling up with water, and all the debris that was put into the drains settled into the pipes. And here you can see what the results are of pipes not sloping in the right direction. So here you can see the pipe, they're all full of crud because these were also full of junk, the water could not flow properly, and they were actually backing up into the sinks. The plumber that was here previously obviously didn't put together the system in such a way that he made sure that the water was sloping and draining in a proper fashion.
Well, wasn't there an inspection?
An inspection is hard to do when you don't have a scaffolding like what we set up, where the inspector can get close to the pipes and take a look at it. So when the inspector looked up from the beach below, he couldn't see it because it was hard to tell if the pipes are draining in the right direction. You can only see it now because we're right here, which is why we put the scaffolding in.
Ready and go.
Okay, so here you can see the string. This string is level, and the pipe which was down here has now been moved up so that it's
You have got to yell.
so that it slopes.
Start
in the
over
right-
because I can't hear you at
Okay,
all over
okay,
the waves.
Okay. So here you see the level string, and the pipe was down here below. We're sloping towards the ocean. Now you see the pipe has been raised up and is sloping towards the sewer system. All of these pipes were full of sewer water.
How easy for you to say.
Well, it's supposed to be attached to plywoods.
Okay, so we went underneath and unhooked the drain coupling, right? Okay, so I want to. Oh my gosh, look at this. They didn't even have it screwed down. The screw. Oh my God, they didn't even have it screwed into the plywood floor. So we removed the toilet, and we're looking at a metal ring that is supposed to be anchored to the floor joist or to the plywood. And the ring is not supposed to be sitting on top of the tile, it's supposed to be mounted to plywood or to a subfloor, which tells me that this was installed after the tile was installed, which would not have allowed enough room for a wax ring. You ready?
Okay, go.
Okay, so you remember the last time when we were looking at this floor drain in here, and it was completely messed up. Now you can see where we've replaced the plywood and we've properly anchored the floor drain to the plywood, which is how you're supposed to do this, so that we can now set the tile and then set the toilet. And if you'll notice in the wall, you can see where we actually have the spigot coming out for the filler for the toilet rather than coming up through the floor. Have replaced the floor because we had to replace the toilet. We're putting in a new wall tile, and of course we found a wire in here, so we decided to put a little heater in, and this will give us a little bathroom heater fan. So here you can see where we put in all the new water lines, the drain lines, and you can see where they're sloping down. This string line right here is a level line, and of course they're all sloping now to have the proper amount of drainage. You can actually see where this one is sloping this way. Here is our sink drain, so that's one bathroom. Everything's plumbed in really well now. This is the one toilet drain that where we had to rebuild the whole floor. This paint and pull it off the wall because they never put primer. You have to have primer. Primer is the only bonding agent that you have between the new paint and the old paint. So here we have the paint that is not sticking to the house. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's ridiculous. So remember the last time we were here, we were actually peeling the paint off of the wall. So we peeled it all off, sanded it down, put a coat of primer, and now we have a nice solid coat of finish. And it's holding up very well, of course. So we removed all the spindles and put them back in with a spacing less than 4 inches. It worked out less than 4 inches in order to keep the spacing the same, but it's okay that you can go smaller than 4 inches. You just cannot go over 4 inches. And remember, the spindles before were at 6.5, which is dangerously unacceptable, especially for little children that could fall out onto the beach below. So what we have here is the insulation around our hot water line. This is the circulating hot water right here. You can actually feel it, it's hot. And this is the foam insulation that we are using to put on this water to keep the water hot so we don't lose any heat, therefore not losing any water when you turn on the water to get it hot. So we're going to take and turn on the hot water and see how long it takes for it to get hot from the circulating line. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go. It's getting hot and it's hot.
What do we got here on the...
That got very hot.
And let me see that, Jesse, close.
I'm going to start insulating the floor tomorrow with a spray foam insulation that's been specially approved for this type of an application over water. For many years in California, when these homes were built, there was no insulation used anywhere. They felt like being close to the ocean with this wonderful climate that we have, we didn't need insulation. But as we have found out, insulation is definitely a plus anywhere in California. It gets cold at night here, it can get hot during the day, and it will go right through your house.
So tell me what's going on here.
What he does is he sprays 2 types of chemical, and as soon as they hit each other, they expand. That's why you see the separate lines coming into the spray gun. They actually don't mix till they actually come out of the gun.
So what is the purpose of the spray? What is it?
The spray is a polyethylene type foam that is used for insulating houses and buildings. And in this case, we're actually providing a great insulation factor in sealing up the house from the elements of the ocean. So here you can see where we put in the insulation, and this was just sprayed a few minutes ago and it's already solid and hard as a rock. This is what gives us our sound barrier, our moisture barrier, and our insulation factors to keep the elements of the weather and the ocean out of our house. So what you see here is we ground off the stucco because it was so irregular everywhere, and we put a smooth stucco on here. It's called a smooth Italian finish, and behind this we have a actual mesh lath that will help prevent any additional cracking that could come up in the future. And of course this is very smooth and very even throughout the house.
Talk to me about the weather resistance qualities of this smooth surface.
It doesn't have a
This
lot of
smooth surface, not its.
this smooth surface doesn't have a lot of weather resistance, as any stucco product would not have that type of a resistance. Water will actually soak through this stuff because it's like a sponge. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some sealers to this because we like the way that this looks, where you can see a little bit of irregularity to this stucco. It's an actual look that we're looking for, but we don't want to coat it with a paint which would seal it off. We actually want to put a sealer that goes into the stucco, seals it off so as the moisture hits it, it runs off the wall and not into the wall.
Oh, I'm getting blown all around the place.